Yeah, thanks. Thanks for the introduction. So, good morning, everyone. I work at Tata Consultancy Services Research and Innovation Lab, India. So, today I'm here to present my work on a system of cognitive load from biopotential measured using wearable endosomatic device. So, this work is a joint venture with a few students and a professor from Jadavpur University, Kolkata. So, as the title says, in this work, we need to study the feasibility of detecting cognitive load using endosomatic approach for measuring electrodermal activity. So to begin, let's brief about what is mental workload and why do we need to study it. So mental workload or cognitive load is defined as the total amount of mental resources required to execute a task. An optimum amount of cognitive load is required for executing the task successfully, beyond which the performance of an individual degrades drastically, hence leading to psychological anxiety and etc. Thus, measuring the study of overall cognitive load imparted on an individual is important in our day-to-day life. For that, various approaches are used for assessment of cognitive which have their challenges of their own. Subjects NACA, CLX, and SWAT, etc. Whereas performance-based measures like task completion, time, etc., and error rate are also used. But these approaches have certain limitations as well, such as it limits continuous monitoring of the subject, because we cannot ask someone to perform the same test over and over again. Not only this, the user responses are also subjective in nature. On the other hand, there are a lot of physiological based approaches that involve sensors to be worn, which are sometimes obtrusive and causes discomfort and therefore could also alter the physiology we want to measure. But thanks to the recent advancement in technological sensing has become unobtrusive, and using devices such as wristband smartwatches has also enabled longitudinal monitoring. As per the prior art, a lot of researchers have shown the capability of monitoring cognitive load using a variety of sensing techniques such as heart rate or heart rate variability, electroencephalogram, that is EEG, breathing pattern obtained from wrist PPG, skin conductance, etc. A few approaches even take a fusion of different sensors to obtain better results. We focus on the physiology of electrodermal activity, or say the skin conductance, which gives electrical characteristics of the skin as an indirect measure of sweat activity. There are two types of EDA approaches, exosomatic and endosomatic. In an exosomatic approach, an AC or a DC current is passed through two electrodes in a contact with our skin and thus measure the skin conductivity. In cases where people who have extremely dry or extremely sweaty hands, this method fails to work robustly. On the other hand, endosomatic approach measures the biopotential of the skin without application of any electrical stimulus and hence is considered as a more reliable measure. There has been a lot of efforts in designing such endosomatic systems. Here, we use one such state-of-the-art device to measure the biopotentials to see if such devices can be used to find markers of cognitive load. So the key contribution of our work are as follows. We analyze the effect of cognitive load on skin potential measured from four bilateral body locations, that is a 4-channel ADA. It is also possible to use the endosomatic approach alone for the assessment of cognitive workload. Individual skin potentials when measured at different body locations might not give good biomarker of cognitive load. However, when combined together, they serve as a real reliable biomarker for us. We also show that the performance of the proposed endosomatic approach is comparable to the conventional exosomatic approach like GSR. And in the end, a sensor fusion of EDA as well as GSR increases the overall classification accuracy of the system. So, in our proposed approach, this is the flow diagram, which is divided into 3 parts. First, is a data acquisition system to collect the physiological data. Second is the cognitive load stimulus to impart the cognitive load. And third is a data analysis system to study the signals and infer. So this is the first part where our data acquisition system, we use three devices. First is a 4-channel endosomatic EDA device, which can be seen in the figure beside on the right-hand side top, which is connected to the index and the middle fingers of a left hand, right hand, left leg, and the right leg. The data from this particular sensor was sampled at 20 Hz. Next, we use the shimmer device to collect GSR data as a ground truth for our experiment. And lastly, we also used a pulse oximeter just to keep a check on the heart rate of the subject during the experiment. The cognitive load stimulus that we used to impart cognitive load was a digitized mental addition task. The stimulus starts with a 45-second of baseline period, where a plus sign is shown to the subject at the center of the screen and the subject is asked to relax. After the baseline period ends, a total of 15 numbers, 3 seconds each, are shown in a trial. At the end of the trial, the participant was asked to report the sum of the numbers. To impart low cognitive load, single-digit numbers 1 to 5 were used, whereas double-digit numbers 6 through 19, except 10 and 15, were used to impart high cognitive load. Data collection was done taking 24 healthy university students, 14 male and 10 female, with a mean age of 24 plus minus 4 years, who volunteered for the study. Ethical clearance was also obtained from relevant committee of the university. We selected this population based on our assumption that students are best fit for the studies involving cognitive load. A written consent was taken from all the participants before the data collection. All the participants appeared for both low and high load tasks. For half of the participants, the low load task was administered first, followed by the high load task, and the reverse order was followed for the remaining participants. For data analysis, we had two streams of data. First was a GSR and second the 4-channel EDA. The overall approach adopted for processing the sensor data is depicted in the figure. Recorded sensor data is first divided into task and baseline data based on the time span. These data are then processed window-wise, features. Finally, two feature selection tools were used to select an optimum set of features, which are then fed to a classifier for classification of low and high cognitive load. Figures in this slide are the deviation signals of GSR and EDA for all 4 channels for a particular participant performing the low and the high load task, respectively. The vertical dotted line in the plot indicates start time of the low or the high load task, prior to which is the baseline period. We observed that all the 4 deviation signals mostly correlate with the GSR signals, although with some variable lag. We have also observed that across the participants, maximum deviation is obtained in the leg signals, both the left leg and the right leg. Once the deviation data is obtained, the task portion is divided into windows of 3 seconds as governed by this stimulus. We computed a total of 21 features for each channel of EDA as well as the GSR signal. These features were very well-known time and frequency domain features. Finally, we used 2 feature selection methods, that is MIC, Maximal Information Coefficient, via MIND software tool, which assigns a value denoting information content in a feature with respect to an assigned label. The second tool which we used was FDP, or a feature discovery platform tool, which returns a set of given feature metrics as an input. For our experimentation and result purpose, we used MATLAB's classification learner app and report a 10-fold cross-validation result over all the 24 subjects. It is observed that for both GSR and EDA signals, random forest classifier or the tree bagger outperforms all the other classifiers. The accuracy which we obtained were 83.7% for all 4 channels of EDA taken together and 71.5% for GSR. Considering individual channels, the channels connected to legs when taken alone were almost comparable with the GSR's performance matrix. It was also observed that for all classifiers, 4-channel EDA outperforms GSR as well. In the second set of our experiments, after having our initial results, we performed feature selection. So talking about EDA, if we run FDP on EDA, it returns a 30 out of 84 features, of which 15 features were of hands and 15 features were of legs, and it reported an accuracy of about 89.6%. Using MIC on EDA, top 25 features gave us the highest accuracy, out of which 9 features were of hands, 16 features were of legs, and it reported an accuracy of 86.5%. Running the same feature selection tools on GSR, it returns 16 out of 21 features with an accuracy of 77.3%, and for MIC, it was 15 features with a highest accuracy of 73.4%. If we took a common subset of the features which were recommended by both the tools, that led us to an accuracy of 86.1% for EDA. And in the end, if we fuse both the sensing methodologies, that is EDA plus GSR, we got a resultant accuracy of 89%. So the discussions which we have here, that's from a perspective where cognitive load analysis is very less explored via endosomatic approach, our study shows that the variation in biopotentials can provide markers to monitor different cognitive load levels. Results also show endosomatic approach can be used instead of exosomatic approach for the study of electrodermal activity. Enhanced deviation in the leg signals also showed higher accuracy levels during cross-validation. During our study, we also observed that the 4-channel EDA signals were affected due to the exosomatic nature of the shimmer device, but that effect was very minimal. Coming to future scope, here are certain scope of a current study on which we have started working on. The physiological basis of such enhanced deviation in the leg signal is yet to be explored. Also, the bilateral symmetry of the EDA differential bias needs to be studied. From a variable perspective, since we are using 4 channels here, is 1 channel of EDA enough to detect cognitive load? And domain-specific features such as peak count, phasic component, phasic response, which are generally used on GSR signals, can they be used on the EDA signal or not, is the question to us. So that is all for my presentation. Here are the few references which were used, and thank you.